welcome back to Accessible Photography after 4 months of lockdown. I'm back out taking photographs, creating content, and I hope you enjoy. Today I'm going to be doing the Queen's view in Perthshire and discussing why it's not quite the same view as it used to be. It really is a beautiful view, and the landscape changes all the time as cloud rolls over. And I'm going to show you what it's like as masses of cloud comes over and changes the landscape completely, from quite vibrant and a bit contrasty to quite dull, flat and almost miserable. You'll also see how this viewing area will change from being nice and quiet as it is just now before 9 o'clock in the morning to after, when the visitor centre opens at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it gets quite busy with people. Currently not as busy as it normally would be in July because of quarantine, but there's enough people around to make it busy and a bit more awkward for taking your photographs. I would advise getting here into the area and staying in the area and visiting places like this 2 or 3 times to try and get different light conditions. And if you can, visit places throughout the year to get different weather conditions and different landscapes, because in the autumn this is going to change completely and be beautiful fall colours. And I'll definitely be back to do that. There'll be probably a copy of this vlog later on in the year as I get those lovely autumnal colours in the bag. So you can see the colour of the water is changing all the time. It was a beautiful bright blue to begin with, and as the cloud comes over it starts to darken, be a bit miserable. I like it to be nice and bright and shiny. I quite like the postcard images. A lot of photographers don't like blue sky, they like a lot of drama in the sky. I quite like to have some postcard images occasionally. Show Scotland as a nice sunny place, which it can be quite often, but a lot of photographers go out in the bad weather and the winter to show that drama. So people get kind of a wrong idea of the country. It's beautiful this morning. It's a bit breezy up here on the viewpoint, but it is lovely. Nice sun, nice and warm. I'm only wearing this because it's quarantine time. I'm watching the cloud come over, and it will get quite dull. It's forecast to get quite dull. Let's have a look at what it's like as it gets busier and as the weather changes later in the day. So jumping back a little bit to me in the morning, you've now seen what it's like as the place gets busy with people, as the cloud comes over and the conditions change. But I'm going to discuss Queen's View. Why is it called Queen's View? Well, Queen Victoria came here in the 1800s and marvelled at this beautiful view. But chances are it was already called Queen's View when she came here. And it's believed that Queen Isabella, the wife of Robert the Bruce, came here several hundred years before she did. But the view has changed even since Victorian times. For a start, we have electricity pylons up the valley here, or the glen. But the water level has also changed. It's deeper than it was. The loch goes further. This is Loch Tummel. It extends further to the west and it extends further to the east. And the water level in here will be a little bit higher than it was, but the water level to the side is much higher than it was. It was just a river at one time. So why is that? It's a good question. Why is the water at a different level? And it's because of this. Clunnie Dam, built in the 1940s to provide hydroelectric power to the local community and beyond. It's a small dam, but it does the job. It provides ample power at the hydroelectric station just downriver. And we're going to go and have a look, not quite at the hydro station itself, but the entrance to it, because there's a very interesting memorial to the few men that actually died building this in the late 40s. And this is it, a section of the tunnel that brings water from Clunnie Dam to Clunnie Power Station to generate that hydroelectric power. This section was put here as a memorial to the 5 men who died building Clunnie Dam. I was really pleased with the last 2 pieces to camera, but as you can see, I made an error. The poor souls that lost their lives did so in the construction of the tunnel from the dam to the power station and not building the dam itself. Let me now read you the content of the information board at the memorial. In 1943, only 1 in 100 crofts in the Highlands had electricity. But in just a few decades, affordable electricity would transform the way people lived. Hydropower made this possible. This arch honours men who died while building a tunnel to feed Clunnie Power Station in the late 1940s. The arch measures 6.9 metres across, the same as the tunnel. This remains one of the largest water tunnels in the UK. Clunnie Dam and Power Station are part of SSE's Tummel Valley hydroelectric scheme. The scheme collects water from 1,000 square kilometres of the Grampian Mountains. In the 1930s, this area became one of the first in Scotland to be developed for hydropower. High wages attracted men to work on hydro schemes despite the dangers. Many thought Irish, Germans, Poles and Czechs made the most skilled tunnel tigers. Tunnel tigers removed about 400,000 tonnes of rock from the Clunnie pipeline. It was the largest tunnel in the UK at that time. Between 1948 and 1965, men dug through 300 kilometres of solid rock for hydro schemes in the Highlands. Clunnie Power Station gets water from Loch Tummel and discharges it into Loch Fascally. Harold Ogle Tarbolton designed it to enhance the landscape. This approach made power stations better accepted by the local people. He chose the classical modernist style. It combines classical features like columns and arches with the needs of an industrial building. Google Maps shows Queen's View and the satellite image, the land and the loch. This image is from the Scottish National Library. Here is a location of Queen's View. NLS provides a function where you can pull back the years and see what the area was actually like when Queen Victoria visited in 1866. You can see now how much shorter the loch was back then. Watch as I bring back in today's satellite imagery of the loch. See how much further the loch extends and how a river has become a narrow part of the loch. Downstream at Perthshire, you can see how Tummel Dam has created Loch Fascally. Queens View Visitor Centre welcomes everyone. It has ample parking, a shop, and as you can see, a lovely cafe. From the centre, the viewpoint is only 150 metres away. Here you can see Mother and Child, an outdoor wooden sculpture by artist Charlie Easterfield. Although there are steps, there is also a very smooth tarmac path all the way to the viewpoint. At the viewpoint, there is a very good plaque showing the mountains that can be seen on a clear day. I highly recommend a visit if you're in the area. Due to its accessibility, I give Queens View a level 1 rating. I would also highly recommend a trip along Loch Tummel and Loch Rannoch, and if you have the time, a drive right up to Rannoch Station where you can get a view across the moor towards Glencoe and Buccleuch of Moor. The cafe at Rannoch Station is not very accessible due to a passenger bridge with steps over the active railway line. It is though an excellent cafe, and you can even sit in the signal box out on the platform. I do hope you enjoyed my DocuVlog. It took quite a few takes to talk to camera again in public after a few months off, but I'm fairly happy with the end result. I will produce more DocuVlogs if I feel these are popular. So please click like and leave me a positive message if you did enjoy it, and remember to click the subscribe button for more content later. A quick shout out now for a new subscriber, Yellow Mac, who subscribed on his phone while at Queens View. He and his family became involved participants on my drone flight so that I could continue flying, filming and land afterwards.